Hi there. We just found out from leaked makeup department photos that the White Walkers will reappear on screen in House of the Dragon Season 2, even though they don't quite appear on the page in the prequel book that it's based on. Well, presumably they were around for thousands of years in the background up north beyond the wall. It's not as if they weren't there, but still, this is technically an invented storyline for the TV show in terms of the dialogue and in the exact plot points. Nonetheless, me and some of the other book fan channels like Red Team Review, Preston Jacobs, David Lightbringer, we're all cautiously optimistic about this, given how well Ryan Condal and his team handled book lore in Season 1, all the things they worked in. So the real question in this video, that I'm making it short to quickly address this for a general audience: what could House of the Dragon significantly add to the story of the White Walkers that isn't just appearing for the sake of fan service? That this is advancing the story in some way. Now, we saw this in Season 1, and the direct comparison is, look how they worked in the White Walker prophecy in Season 1. That not only is it guiding the actions of certain characters, it was actually book lore. Martin admitted the books are called the Song of Ice and Fire series after the prophetic dream that pushed Aegon the Conqueror to unite the Seven Kingdoms and forge the Iron Throne. The secret reason the Iron Throne exists is for the Song of Ice and Fire prophecy about the White Walkers. So that tied in very well because it's an idea Martin himself had, they were just revealing. So hopefully this is revealing some book lore thing Martin has that he just hasn't revealed yet through other stuff. Which of course ties into the more general, why get invested in this when we know how it ends, was something people were saying even before Season 1. And I know the White Walker storyline is one of the ones that particularly fell hard on its face, but you could say that of the why get invested in the Targaryens, or even why get invested in the Starks and Lannisters, who are, alive at the end, but Bran being king is ridiculous, the other characters have ridiculous, terrible endings. That wasn't the real ending. Not just the ending, it wasn't the entire second half. Season 5 onwards abandoned the later print books. It was so off the rails, they weren't even trying to adapt it. That isn't Martin's story for so many characters, and people just didn't want to believe that. They wanted to think, we're this invested in the show after 4 seasons, this has to be telling us book things. You realize we learned nothing about the White Walkers in Season 7 or 8? We had this one info dump about them in Season 6, straight from Martin, about, well, they were created by the Children of the Forest, and there was so much speculation about next season, they'll say specifics about the Night King, and I don't think there is a Night King in the books, and people kept thinking that and were surprised when there were no further revelations. Revelations such as, why are the White Walkers returning? Why are they returning now, after 8,000 years of dormancy? Game of Thrones never even tried to address that. Or related issues like, why do they have these irregular years-long seasons, that they can have a 10-year-long summer, a 10-year-long winter? Now, Martin has admitted there is a secret underlying magical reason behind this. It isn't natural to their world, and he intends to explain it before the end. It's heavily implied it's something tied to the White Walkers, because, like ancient myths say that before the long night, the seasons used to be shorter and more regular, like on a 12-month cycle. They never touch on that at all, but just the blatant, obvious question of why are they returning, never touched upon. So I realized if they have this gratuitous fight scene and we're going to have hacking zombies and stuff, that's not worth it. But even then, I said maybe we could see them gradually building in numbers with like a proto-Craster type, giving them a few babies and things. That isn't really significantly adding to the lore. Just seeing them hovering, that their numbers are slowly increasing, that's a cameo. Still fan service, just slightly better than something truly gratuitous with an action scene. Even if they do it well, like a horror movie would do it, where they allude to them gathering babies, it's still not enough. We need real answers. Like how Season 1 actually added to the lore by giving this revelation about Aegon's prophecy. So that is the bar I am setting, that in order to do it right, there is a right way to do this, to put the White Walkers in Season 2, they need to give us real answers. So from the perspective of the book story, what are book fandom theories on why the White Walkers are returning after 8,000 years? And how could this possibly tie in with a prequel set 170 years before Jon Snow's time, when they're active in force? I didn't originate this. This was circulating around book fans past 7-8 years. But why are the White Walkers returning after thousands of years? The theory is they never left. That the Night's Watch has been placating them with baby sacrifices since the beginning. Sacrifices like what Craster was doing, but on a much larger scale. And they were doing it since the wall was first built 8,000 years ago. Might even be one of the original terms of the truce that ended the Long Night, if it really ended in more of a truce. Second part of this is, well, logically the Night's Watch is all male, and they need to produce children somehow, and even then they need to be unwanted children to develop a supply of these human sacrifices. Theory is this ties in with why the First Men developed the custom of First Night, in which a lord could rape a commoner woman on the first night of her marriage. Now, this doesn't exist, it never existed in real life, but it does in Martin's world, and he introduces it very prominently in the 5th book, with Roose Bolton explaining to Theon there used to be First Night. That went on for thousands of years, and the theory is that you'd have all these unwanted babies produced by rape, which you'd then send to the Night's Watch to offer up as human sacrifices, in exchange for them not launching a full-scale invasion of the Seven Kingdoms again. A few being sacrificed so that all may be saved. Third and final point of theory is that what finally stopped this is that the early Targaryen king Jaehaerys, you remember from the prologue of House of the Dragon, he's Viserys' grandfather? Jaehaerys stopped this flow of baby sacrifices, which have been going on for 7,500 years, when Jaehaerys, in his youth, about 70 years before Season 2, he both outlawed First Night and shut down the original headquarters of the Night's Watch at the Night Fort. Remember when Samwell Tarly and Bran Stark crossed paths at the Wall in Season 4? And Sam explained just briefly, well, there's a secret entrance, there's a secret tunnel going through the wall here. Much more expansive in the books, but suffice to say this led to a lot of book speculation on why do they even need a secret tunnel? They control all the other tunnels through the wall. Maybe the Night's Watch was doing something they didn't want people to see. Sending secret baby sacrifices. Also ties in with legends that the infamous 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, who lived only 100 years after the Wall was built, that the Stark King and the King Beyond the Wall had to make common cause to put him down, that he was making human sacrifices to the White Walkers. Never actually say, well, was he executing people, like slaughtering people as a sacrifice, or what if they meant baby sacrifices, like what Craster was doing? And maybe the Night's King wasn't the only person doing that, the 13th Lord Commander. What if he's just the only one who got caught? Now, consider what we learned in House of the Dragon, that the Targaryens came to Westeros due to a prophetic dream that they needed to stop a White Walker invasion, which maybe they ended up causing by coming there and then one of their early kings shutting down the flow of baby sacrifices. Martin loves that kind of prophetic irony in the style of Greek tragedy. I mean, time loop stuff, like Hodor, the Hodor reveal. It's like that in coming we ended up causing it by stopping the human sacrifices. So how could this even tie in with House of the Dragon when it's 170 years before they came back? It's 170 years before they openly went on the offensive, but it's 70 years after a character who we even saw in live action in the prologue, after he banned that and the White Walkers are getting restless without their human sacrifices. Now, this ties in with a few other things. You might remember I, independently of this, reported a few weeks ago when we didn't even think the Night's Watch had come back, much less the White Walkers, We have heard credible rumors that there are going to be flashbacks to King Jaehaerys in Season 2. And I just assumed they were for the Great Council, or maybe like him presenting Daemon with the ancestral sword Dark Sister. What if they're flashbacks to Jaehaerys shutting down the Night Fort and banning First Night? And what if they then turn around and all of those Night's Watch soldiers that we saw riding in the forest, in the snowy forest at a night scene in an exterior filming, that is them going beyond the wall, but like they'd ride up, picture this in your mind's eye, they ride up, there's all this tension, you think they're going to fight, then he hails them when they stop and starts talking with the zombies, or to the White Walkers through them, and pleading, I'm sorry, we don't have the baby sacrifices like normal, but the Targaryens banned First Night and closed our secret tunnel. It's dangerous for me to even meet with you like this. And then, like, they'll kill all but the Lord Commander as a warning, go, you better have more baby sacrifices when we come back 100 years from now, or we're going to build up our armies to go on a full offensive, and it'll take a while, but this is making us upset. Try harder next time. And they don't know what to do. Consider that none of the spy photos we had of the Night's Watch Rangers or of the makeup stills of these zombies, none of them show battle damage or injuries. We have no reason to think there's a fight between them. Just imagine how jarring it would be to see Night's Watch riding up against zombies in the forest at night. You think they're going to fight, and then they're going, I'm sorry we don't have the baby sacrifices. Remember how shocked Jon was when he realized Mormont always knew what Craster was doing. But even that, we thought at the time, oh, it's because they're desperate for Craster as an ally. It's they were always doing that on a larger scale with babies born of First Night. This ties in with another thing. Season 2 might also introduce First Night with the Dragon Seeds. That there's a lot of Targaryen bastards, born of Dragon Seed, Targaryen bastards, that they're going to look for, because with a bit of Targaryen blood, they might be able to bond with the riderless dragons that Rhaenyra's faction has. And these specific bastards weren't born of First Night, but it explains, well, like, they don't know who their grandparents were, like, their grandfather, their great-grandfather might have been a bastard born of First Night, so that's they have a bit of Targaryen blood in them. That would tie in very well if they explain First Night for the Dragon Seeds, only to then show in flashback Jaehaerys banning it, and then secretly the Night's Watch meeting with White Walker scouts to say, they banned it, and being threatened, you better have them or we're going to wake up all the rest of us from dormancy. So yes, this would be a significant lore addition that isn't just a cameo or fan service, but adding to the story in a big way. And if you didn't like them tying in Season 1 that Aegon's prophecy was really why he forged the Iron Throne and the kingdoms, if you didn't like that, you're not going to like this. But a lot of people thought that was really, no, this is tying in new lore to this. It wasn't just mentioning it for the sake of mentioning it. I'm hoping it's as good as they tied that in with Season 1. And like some of the other book fan channels, Preston Jacobs, Red Team Review, I have confidence in Ryan Condal for this. Now, admittedly, this is only the best case scenario. And what we did in early Game of Thrones, we called it honeypotting after the Talissa honeypot theory, that we'd be utterly confident, no, they're not killing Stannis, Talissa's really a spy, all this other stuff. Then it wouldn't happen. And people would just go into denial of, well, maybe they'll make the Tysha reveal next season. And they didn't, but we'd be so convinced because we didn't want it to be true. We did go through mental gymnastics that, no. So I am worried that what if I'm going through mental gymnastics that, oh no, the White Walkers are coming back. It's not fan service. They're going to explain that the White Walkers are really returning after 8,000 years because Jaehaerys shut down the Night Fort and the baby sacrifices. But such is the nature of theorization that I have to come up with something, but it's very fertile ground that this would tie in very well. That this could be what they're going to set up. We'll have to wait and see the actual season. But I have hope.